Hi everybody, it's Colin here from Woodthorpe International. Just another update showing what I've been up to, and I'll just show you how I do the slopes, the inclines and declines, using just half as much of the stuff from Woodland Scenics by splitting them in half, and how I do it. So I hope you're all well, and let's see what I've been up to. Right. These are Woodland Scenics, part of the risers and decliners, and if you put N-gauge on, you can get two on one set. But I heard someone say about, well, why don't they do an N-gauge version? Well, what I've done to the slope I showed you last week was I put this on somewhat straight so the gaps are still the same in the actual polystyrene, and then I just stick a bit of masking tape over don't have to be dead straight like that. So now it's in one piece, as it was before I stuck the tape on. But then what I do is I get a good sharp knife, now if you wanted you could just put a measurement on of halfway. Let me put some glasses on so I can see. 2.5, so it wants to be about 1.25 inches, just to get a rough idea where the centre is. Not a very good tape, it's a bit worn. Use this one quite a lot. Now, I could put a straight edge on it, but it doesn't really matter, because in here is where it's going, and that is wider than what I'm cutting anyway. So basically you just cut it with the tape stuck on, I'm having to, sorry you can't see, and then what you do, once you've got it cut, and hopefully you've gone all the way through, you've just got to just check. So hopefully I've gone all the way through. And I have. But keep the gaps with the tape. And if they do tend to stick together, so if I just get rid of one of them, if say one of these had crumbled up like that one, if you just pull the tape, it goes back to the original length it was. And then you just drop it in the hole, and that's your first bit. Now you stick that down with the tape on, and when it's set, you pull the tape off. You could leave it on for the sake of the fraction of thickness of the tape, and then that's going to go up to the other end for the first one. And you do the same with the slope bits. I know that's the same thickness all the way through, but you just do the same. I'm just knocking any white polystyrene off, and then I'll hoover these bits up. And that then means one of those, let's just put it back on, takes the width of an N-gauge track. And you're getting 2 out of each piece. So on this run here, where we are, there's going to be a line going up here, a line, I think it's there, going up, and this one in the middle is going down. So there's one here going up, and this one is level, but not on this piece of PSC wood. Well, I'll show you this. So that's how I'm going to do the slope in here to raise up back up to the 2-inch Kingspan, because these are 1/2 inch, so 3 levels and then a slope. Right, as you can see just there, that's the end of the one I cut into half, and I've stuck 2 down. Now I use Copytex to do this. It grabs it straight away and it goes off very quickly with this, and there's no reaction to it. What I do, I don't mess about with any measuring. I just put that to where it needs to start from, and just down here is the end, and I just look where it is and I put the glue to that. I just moved this off a little bit just to give myself a bit more wriggle room, and I just paint it on with the brush what comes in the glue. Never used this before until this layout. On the other layout I never used it, but it's very good, I must say. And I like these smaller ones, but I buy the bigger ones because they're cheaper, and I bought one little one, so it's just easier to handle and take space up on the layout. And I just put a little bit on the end. Now one thing I do, and I put plenty on, there's no point, and it doesn't matter if it's not, you know, if it sticks out at the side, it just dries. I always make sure that the end of the tape doesn't overhang, and if it does, like at this end there, what I don't want is the tape to be stuck in between 2 pieces. So I just fold the end so I can grab hold of it to pull it up, and then I just drop it down, pull it so it goes up to that one, and just keep the gaps so it's the correct measurement. And like I say, it's, you know, it holds it enough. You don't have to pin it. with this Copytex, and there'll be other glues what probably work the same, and I just make sure that there's an equal gap as near as damn it, so when the track goes in, it's in the middle. And then where this one ends, I will be putting the first slope, because to do a 2% rise to 2" is 2,400 long, just short of 8 foot. If you were only going an inch high, it would be half the distance. So this one next time will have a slope on it, and that one there, and the first one I put down will have another ½ inch put on. So what I'm going to do now is cut the slope, put that down, and then that can be going off, and I'll cut, I've got the next one ready for the first one, and I need one more of these cutting in half and 2 slopes, so I'll get those ready, and next time you see it, you'll see it with it all done. Okay, so now you can see it all in, and that was another reason for doing this size, as in 50mm, because you can get different thicknesses. Naturally 3½ inches make the 2" and it just finishes perfect. If you can remember, try and stagger where the joints are. All you've got to do is just turn one over and you get a narrow one or a fatter one, just depending on which side of it you use. So that's all down, and I just need to put the track on, and then this then lays back down. I can stick that on now because I can put the track on down there with this in, and then I can also start getting the track on top of here, which will come from this point. Anyway, that's that in. I'm not going to cover it, I'm not going to do it, there's no decoration on this side. This is just a area to get trains from, on this level, from Europe to the fiddle yard, which goes straight through that wall, or to get to America. And then when Japan goes in at the lower level, 2 foot lower than this, that's to get British trains either to Japan or to its fiddle yard. So that's all ready. So this is what I've been up to doing this week. Putting this board at the correct height so it joins on to that level, because it was down onto that, so it was about 1 inch lower. The Kingspan's all on now. I've actually stuck that down so it's ready for track. That end and this very end isn't stuck down. I'll just put a mitre on there. The reason for that is because I've got to make a hole through that part of the wall. It just gives me a bit of height for my hand to go in, even though I'll be cutting that one from outside, and then that can just drop back in and then fix it down when required. The other thing I've done is put this shelf up for the measurement track and a programming track if I need to do a program what isn't connected to the actual layout itself. So that's what I've been up to this week, sticking that slope down. I've put those board insulation in, and I've put a bit of track over there, which I'll show you in the next update. So thanks very much for watching. This video is a little bit longer, just showing you what I did here. But thanks very much for watching, and I'll speak to you next week. Bye for now. Bye.